Shalom, this is Abik back with another edification. I would like to thank all of my subscribers. I want to wish all of my subscribers high health and high spirits, and I wish all of my subscribers are safe and protected against these agendas that are waged against us here behind enemy lines here in America. The name of this video is going to be called Dear White People. And those who support them and subscribe to them and who so-called love them and their world and the ground they walk on and their DNA and their ways, and who wish to see them live and who wish to see them prosper. I'm going to claim fair use on this video. This is for educational purposes. I do not profit off of YouTube or any content thereof.
5 years. And you can listen to General Wesley Clark online talk about that. He was NATO's Supreme Commander in 1999. He went to the Pentagon on September 20th, 2001. He was handed the paper explaining 7 wars. These, by the way, were Netanyahu's wars. The idea was partly to clean up old Soviet allies and partly to take out supporters of Hamas and Hezbollah. Because Netanyahu's idea was there will be one state, thank you, only one state. It will be Israel. Israel will control all of the territory. And anyone that objects, we will overthrow. Not we exactly, our friend, the United States.
Okay, so I'm a veteran, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. I fought in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. And I had a secret clearance while in the U.S. Marines, and I had perfect attendance in the Marine Corps. I did not take a day off for 4 years while I was serving active duty in the United States Marine Corps. And from a secret clearance standpoint, because I did have a secret clearance, and I was also, my MOS was communications, and having a secret clearance with the MOS and communications, I was privy to the information and the agenda over the course of several years of serving in the Marine Corps active duty. And this Edomite on the screen is, of course, he's also aware of the agenda, the military strategy that was in the works during the Iraqi war. And I'm going to scroll down to 1948, the minute mark, 1948, just to expand or expound on my point. Let's take a listen.
President Putin pledged all support, and then the U.S. decided in September 20th, 2001, that it would launch 7 wars in 5 years. And you can listen to General Wesley Clark online talk about that. He was NATO's Supreme Commander in 1999. He went to the Pentagon on September 20th, 2001. He was handed the paper explaining 7 wars. These, by the way, were Netanyahu's wars.
All right. This guy obviously was in politics while I was serving in the U.S. Marine Corps back in 2001. And around 2001 was when I first heard the 7 countries in 5 years. And in the Marine Corps, we had this this rule, this code that was called OPSEC, which is really acronym for Operation Security, which basically was a gag order on service members to not repeat sensitive information, especially me in my MOS and communications. Other service members understand what I'm saying. But I did not know at the time that Israel, those who say they are Jews but are not, over in Israel today, the so-called Edomites, I didn't know that they were the ones orchestrating these wars. And I said before in a couple of videos before, white people, what are you going to do knowing that your whiteness, so-called whiteness, is also under the influence of those who say they are Jews but are not over in Israel? Trump is Jewish. He's very controversial because white supremacists voted for him. Even poor so-called white supremacists voted for Trump. Trump is very controversial because he supports those who say they are Jews but are not, and he's also Jewish himself. White supremacy doesn't give a damn about so-called whites either, okay? Because those service members that were in the war, they were not all so-called black and non-white. Let me put this in airplane mode. So-called whites suffer by the hands of white supremacy as well. We just saw the ICE, they obviously murdered someone up in Minnesota. White supremacy doesn't give a damn about so-called whites either. So-called whites died in the wars overseas. And American so-called whites fight the wars of the so-called Israelis. What are you so-called whites going to do to hijack your American, so-called American values and culture back from those who say they are Jews but are not over in Israel today? How do you so-called whites expect to do that? This is Jeremiah 16:1. It says, the word of the Lord Yahweh the power, came also unto me, saying, thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons or daughters in this place. What place is that? It's referring to so-called America. Babylon the Great Salakia, let me get my reading glasses. I don't like to spend too much time posting the same material over and over and over and over again. So it takes me a minute to want to do a video outside of camp. And let's continue. Verse 2. Thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons or daughters in this place. Right? Why not? Why is it so bad? Or why is it recommended by the Most High God, Yahweh, the God of Israel, the God of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians? Why would he say to not have a wife, neither shalt thou have sons or daughters in this place? Well, let's read. 3. For thus saith the Lord, Yahweh the power, concerning the sons, Salakia, and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, here behind enemy lines, here in America, Babylon the Great, and concerning their mothers that bear them, and concerning their fathers that begat them in this land. 4. Why is my question? Why would the Lord mention such a thing? 4. It says, they shall die of grievous deaths. They shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be like as dung upon the face of the earth, which dung is basically doo-doo, right? And they shall be consumed by the sword, which today is the gun. And the sword is the blessing of Esau. Esau, Edom. So here behind enemy lines here in America, everybody is being gunned down by the sword. And who has the sword? Whose blessing is it to have the sword? Esau, Edom, the so-called white race. This is why ICE is out of control, running around like a bunch of Nazis under the command of Trump and pretty much Israel, the Israelis, so-called Jews. It says, and by famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. Now, we've seen so-called blacks during slavery and during these Jim Crow times in America, we've seen how they were killed and left outside. Their dead bodies were meat for the fowls, the vultures and stuff. So our carcasses laid around without being buried plenty of times. And even today in 2026, there's reports of so-called blacks, Latino, Native Americans being found after death, after some type of violence, from a sword or from the hands of an evildoer, an unbeliever. 5, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh the power, enter not into the house of mourning, neither go to lament, nor bemoan them, right? So don't feel sorry for these individuals that are coming up short and ending up with the life that was taken. It says, for I have taken away my peace from this people, saith the Lord Yahweh the power, even loving kindness and mercies. So the Most High God Yahweh has removed the spirit of peace and the spirit of love, kindness, and mercies from these individuals that are losing their life. So don't feel sympathy for them, the Most High God said. That's a righteous order, righteous command. All praises to Yahweh, B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. It says, 6, both the great and the small shall die in this land. They shall not be buried, neither shall men lament them, nor cut themselves, nor make themselves bald for them. So no lamenting, all right? There will be no lamenting. 7, neither shall men tear themselves for them in mourning, to comfort them for the dead. Neither shall men give them the cup of consolation to drink for their father or for their mother. Thou shalt not also go into the house of feasting to sit with them to eat and to drink. Okay? Don't feel sorry for all of this death that's happening. This too shall come to pass, right? For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the Lord Yahweh, the power, the God of Israel, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians. This is your Bible. This is not a Christian Bible. It says, behold, look, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes, right? So again, this is a righteous judgment from the Most High God, Yahweh, the power, the God of Israel. He shall remove the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, right? America is not a great place to be. It's going to remove the gladness, the pride from the voice of us, and we'll start to cast judgments on this place. It's time to unsubscribe from America. America is on the brinks of crashing and going out of business. America's set for doom. The voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. So again, the Lord Yahweh is going to cause us to fall out of love with America. 10, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Like, why did he do that, right? Why would he do us like this? Or what is our iniquity? Like, what is our crime? What did we do against the Most High God, Yahweh, and to cause all this great evil against us? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our God, Yahweh? 11, then shall you say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, so-called blacks, Latino, Native American man, woman, and child. These are your fathers that have forsaken the Lord God, Yahweh, and have walked after other gods, like white Jesus, and have served them, and have worshiped them. Worshipped who? The false gods, the God of greed, Jesus, that false idol, and have forsaken me. See, the God of Israel is saying, worshiping the white Jesus is worshiping another God, right? He's an idol. And have forsaken me and have not kept my law, right? See, there is no law under white Jesus to keep. It's just another indoctrinated version of oppression and bondage and sin. Worshiping white Jesus is a sin. 12, and ye have done worse than your fathers. Okay? For behold, look, ye walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart, and they may not hearken unto me. Once these Christians start believing in Christianity, they no longer pay attention to the Most High God, Yahweh, the God of the Bible. And they start to go after their own vain desires and just walk in sin. That's what worshiping white Jesus allows the individual to walk in sin and to beg for forgiveness. That's the spirit of Esau, so-called white race. To walk in sin and to constantly beg for mercy. 13, therefore I will cast you out of this land and into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall you serve other gods like white Jesus day and night, where I will not show you favor. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh the power, that I will know that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, which is America, and from all the lands whither he have driven them. See, the so-called blacks, Latino, Native American, man, woman, and child are the Israelites of the Bible, and the Most High God, Yahweh, the God of Israel, has scattered the Israelites across the world. The Most High God, Yahweh, never scattered no other race. It says, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I will give unto their fathers, that I gave unto their fathers, Salakia. 16, behold, I will send for many fishers, right? Using the men of the Lord, the hopeful elect, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them. Fish who? The multitudes for the elect. And after will I send for many hunters, right? And they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. See, we're gonna hunt for these heathens that worship other gods and force conversion and rule over us here behind enemy lines here in America. It says, for mine eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid away, Salakia, they are not hid from my face. Neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. 18, and first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double. That's what these heathens are going to get. Double what they did to the so-called blacks, Latino, Native American men, women, and child. With your ICE and with your police forces and with your government laws and your policies, right? And with your silly identity. Because they have defiled my land, they have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. 19, O Lord, my strength. Hold on right quick. Give me 1 second, bro.
Okay.
It says, Salaki, it says, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge, in the day of affliction the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is the Lord Yahweh, the power. Dear white people, you have been lied to by white supremacy as well, and your leaders work for those who say they are Jews but are not in Israel today. And there are some leaders amongst the so-called white race that know the truth, but the media of America constantly spins the story. They're spin doctors and they lie all the time. The media is run by Israel over here. No wonder the people have no clue what's really going on in the world. This has been a beat. I want to say shalom. I want to wish all of my subscribers high health and high spirits, and I want to wish that all of my subscribers are safe and protected against these agendas that are waged against us here behind enemy lines here in America. Shalom.